Too often, meaningful missions become justifications for burnout cultures. If you've ever heard, but think of the people we're helping, as a response to concerns about overwork, this video, it's for you. The harder your mission is to achieve, the easier it becomes to justify grinding down your team in pursuit of that mission. So as a leader, you need to be watching out for these warning signs. The leadership above you regularly is using phrases like, remember why we're here, to deflect concerns about workload. Salary discussions, those get met with, we don't do this for the money. Taking time off, that's a subtle guilt trip. Boundaries, that's a lack of commitment. Staff turnover is high, but it gets dismissed as, not everyone can handle this work. If these sound familiar to you, your organization may be using its mission to mask workplace problems. So here's the reality. Let's be clear about burnout in mission-driven spaces. Research shows that nonprofit workers experience burnout at higher rates than corporate employees. The consequences? Decreased productivity, higher turnover, compromised decision-making, and ironically, reduced mission impact. The people you're trying to help, they ultimately receive lower quality service when your staff is an exhausted, rotating one. Your mission actually suffers when you ignore well-being. There's a false economy of overwork at play. Many mission-driven leaders operate from a scarcity mindset. They believe that maximizing output per person is the only way to achieve impact with limited resources. This creates a false economy. Studies consistently show that overworked employees, they make more mistakes, they take more sick days, and they deliver less quality work. The math here, it's simple. Burning through dedicated staff costs more than creating sustainable workloads. Your mission isn't just what you do for others, it includes how you do it. And it also includes how you treat everyone involved in that work, including your employees. A homeless shelter that burns out its staff, it's not achieving its mission of dignity and care. A healthcare nonprofit that ignores employee well-being, that contradicts its commitment to healing. Your values, they must apply both externally and internally. Effective leaders, they embrace the sustainable impact model. The understanding that long-term mission success, it requires sustainable human systems. This means designing your organization around the reality that human beings, they need rest, reasonable hours, fair compensation, psychological safety, and meaningful recognition, among many other things. We can't look at these as luxuries or indulgences. They're essential infrastructure so that your organization can make a lasting impact. It's important to budget for well-being. We can't afford well-being initiatives. It often means we haven't prioritized well-being in our budget. Mission-driven organizations must budget realistically for human sustainability. This includes adequate staffing levels, competitive compensation, professional development, and mental health resources. When speaking with funders and boards, frame these as essential mission investments rather than optional benefits. Many mission-driven organizations, they suffer from workload creep, gradually adding responsibilities without adding resources. As a leader, regularly audit actual workloads against your job descriptions. Are your full-time roles actually 1.5 person jobs? Be honest about capacity. It's better to accomplish fewer priorities than to burn out your team trying to do everything. Right-sizing workloads sometimes is going to mean saying no to even good opportunities. It's also really important to establish boundaries to protect the mission. Reframe boundaries as protecting your mission, not limiting it. When a healthcare worker enforces their off hours, they're ensuring that they're going to have the energy to provide quality care tomorrow. When your education team declines additional projects, they're preserving their capacity to excel at current ones. Leaders, we must model these boundaries ourselves. Your late night emails, they send a loud message, and it's much louder than your wellness policy. It's also really important to create some renewal cycles. Mission work, it often involves continuous crisis response or seemingly endless need. Create intentional renewal cycles to counterbalance this. Build in reflection periods after intense projects. Schedule organization-wide lighter weeks after you have intense weeks. Sabbaticals and extended breaks, they need to be part of your retention strategy. Again, these are not luxuries either. They're essential maintenance for your most valuable assets, your people. It's important to have some mission-aligned flexibility. Flexibility, it's not just a pandemic-era workplace trend. It's a mission-critical strategy. Rigid schedules and micromanagement, they drain energy your team could direct towards its impact. Trust your staff to manage their time while also meeting clear outcomes. Remote options, flexible hours, and results-focused management, they show respect for your employees as whole humans. This autonomy, it actually increases accountability to the mission. It's important to be continuously measuring your well-being metrics. They say that what gets measured gets managed. Track well-being metrics alongside mission metrics. Regularly survey burnout indicators, work satisfaction, and psychological safety. You need to monitor how much leave or paid time off people are using, their after-hours communications, and turnover rates. If you see someone sending that email at midnight, say something. Let them know you don't expect that. When these metrics suffer, your mission delivery is going to soon follow. The most mission-driven organizations, they view well-being data as seriously as they view program outcomes or fundraising targets. So one thing that you can do also is work towards creating a culture that celebrates a sustainable passion, not martyrdom. Stop praising overwork or crisis mode heroics. Instead, recognize efficiency, boundaries, mentorship, and quality focus. Change the narrative from giving everything to the cause to bringing your best self sustainably. Make it clear that taking care of yourself is how your team shows commitment to long-term mission impact. Mission-driven work often creates moral distress, that painful feeling of not being able to do enough for those you serve. This distinct form of burnout requires specific support. Create spaces for teams to process difficult cases, ethical dilemmas, and the emotional weight of the work. Normalize conversations about impact limitations and how to find meaning within these constraints. There's a power of distributing your leadership more. Burnout, it flourishes when decision-making is concentrated among a few martyred leaders. Distribute leadership throughout your organization through delegated authority, transparent information sharing, and meaningful input on decisions. Not only does this relieve pressure on top leaders, it also creates resilience. When multiple people understand the full picture, the mission doesn't just depend on any one individual's sacrifice. You need to also educate your funding partners about the real costs of your mission work. Many funders recognize that unrealistic overhead restrictions and burnout cultures, they actually reduce the impact. Advocate for funding that requires adequate staff and compensation, appropriate staffing levels, and well-being infrastructure. Share research on how sustainable organizations deliver long-term outcomes. The most effective fundraisers, they sell their impact models, not just their mission. So here's a few intervention strategies. For organizations already caught in burnout cycles, intervention, it is possible. Start with some listening sessions where staff, they can safely share their experiences. Conduct workload audits to identify pressure points. Implement immediate relief valves like meeting-free days, temporary scope reductions, or bring on some additional support staff. Begin culture repair by acknowledging past harms and making explicit commitments to new practices. So I want to go over a case study to maybe give some inspiration of how to implement this. Consider Community Health Partners, a nonprofit that reduced their turnover by 60% in 1 year. Their approach? They right-size caseloads based on complexity rather than simple numbers. They implemented mandatory paid time off, and they created coverage systems to make that time off truly restful. They revised their mission statements to explicitly include staff well-being. Most importantly, They started celebrating sustainable impact rather than the heroic sacrifice. So here's what you can do immediately. First, start auditing the after-hours communications in your organizations. Ask, are these things actually emergencies? Second, hold a team discussion and find out where the pain points are that maybe you can fix. Third, identify one process that could be simplified to reduce unnecessary burden. Remember, every step towards sustainable work culture, it's not an employee benefit. It's a mission multiplier that ensures your important work continues effectively for years to come. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this today, please stick around for my next video.